Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to Bullony Basketball. You can see here a familiar face on the channel, but it's been a minute since we collabed. My guy, top notch, Trent. How's it going, my man?
I'm doing good, man. This basketball season's been fun, even though a lot of people saying it's not. But it's a lot of teams that we wouldn't, talk about like the Cavs and OKC. It's like the those teams that are not like the main, Lakers, how they're like the big names and stuff like that. Like we
Mm,
got some smaller teams now, smaller. I'm missing the word, but yeah, it's been a good season though, for sure.
yeah, and with the Cavs and OKC, some like lower market teams maybe. So, it's good to see them like break through. Teams that are kind of in the lower part though of things. NBA purgatory, you might say. I think that's where we're going to start today, and we'll do a little bit of like a play-in preview, looking at the teams that maybe have the best chance to get through the play-in, teams that don't have a good chance to get through the play-in. With obviously myself being a Bulls fan, you being a Heat fan, we've been in the play-in for the last couple years, and this year doesn't look like it's going to be any different. So I guess when you look at the play-in right now and the teams that have a good chance of being in it, who would you feel like is like the most confident in their chances on both sides?
Well, I think it's pretty much locked in. I mean, unless Toronto comes back somehow, some way, and overlaps the Chicago Bulls or overlaps the Miami Heat, I think the first 10 of Cavs, Celtics, Knicks, Bucks, Pacers, Pistons, Hawks, Magic, Heat, Bulls are officially locked in for sure. Um, and it's funny because our favorite teams might are going to be playing against each other, I'm sure. But I have no confidence in my team at all. Like I honestly think this Miami Heat team is terrible, and I actually want to tank. I'm Team Tank over here. So please beat us. I want Josh Giddey to drop a triple double once again. I mean, we just lost to you recently,
That was a
so
crazy game.
yeah. It's funny because like the Bulls are like they have so many guards, and I expected them to like trade one of them, but then they're extending Lonzo. You picked up Trey Jones, Io, Josh Giddey. It's like I don't know what the Bulls are doing, but uh, you probably know more of that. But yeah, no, I think it's gonna be Miami Bulls. I don't think Raptors come or anything like that, or even the Brooklyn Nets. It's just not enough games, and the other teams just have to lose a lot, and the other teams have to win a lot. I just don't see it.
Yeah, and just like you said, I don't see. I mean, I don't know what we're doing either with having so many guards. Trey Jones was like the seventh guard we added to the team, and then there's also people saying like, "Oh, keep an eye on this guy from Illinois, like who's a solid player, but he's another guard." And I'm like, "No, we're done with the guards. Like, it's enough." But like it's funny because I mean, you even remember like last 2 years, like you guys got the 8 seed beating us. I think one time it was a very close game, and I think the next time it was a blowout. And I don't even think Jimmy played for you guys in that game or something. So for some reason, I feel like if we're playing as a 9-10, I feel like this time we would beat you guys, and then we'll still lose the next game. Like we'll be like, oh, we finally got over the hump of the Heat, and then we lose to the Magic or we lose to the Hawks. Like it doesn't even matter. So that's probably what will happen. But like you said, if the Raptors want to, take that spot away from the Bulls or something, uh, be my guest. I mean, it's not like we're gonna do anything like too crazy, anyways. And then I feel like in the Western Conference side of things too, like I don't really see the Suns getting up there. They just haven't given me anything to like believe that they'll get in the play in. And the only thing I will say is I know a lot of people are high on the Warriors right now, but the Timberwolves have been playing really good lately. So I wouldn't be totally surprised if they get in there. I know other people say maybe the Rockets could slide down. Obviously, right now the Lakers they're without LeBron for the next like couple like week or two, so maybe they slide down a little bit. But I feel like still those teams probably end up in the top six. They're like enough of an edge. But the Timberwolves and Warriors like fighting for the sixth seed, I think that could be interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I was watching Timberwolves versus Denver because if you guys don't know, I'm a Russ fan. So my favorite team is Miami. Favorite player is Russ. So I watch both teams, and I tell you this: Minnesota is one of those good sneaky teams. I mean, they have the highest win streak in the West right now at six. They're 38 and 29. They're right behind the Warriors, where they're 37 and 28. So they have more wins, but more losses. Um, and Minnesota's those teams that I think is a dark horse team, to be honest. They're fully healthy now. Julius Randle. Not a big fan of him, but he's still back. He's still a big impact for this team. Dante is back. He was in some big shots. Nas Reed is playing a different role coming off that bench. I mean, defensively, they have length and they exposed Denver. Like they were tougher than Denver throughout the season series. Don't forget, I mean, it's different teams, but Minnesota sent Denver home in Game 7
Mhm.
just last year. So it's like if Denver, because they're tied for second, if Denver somehow gets second seed, which there's a good chance they do, and Minnesota stays at 7, don't be surprised if Minnesota upsets Denver in that first round, because like that matchup is terrible. Like it's not a good matchup for Denver at all. I know Aaron Gordon wasn't playing, but yeah, I mean, I could see Minnesota taking 6 for sure, and maybe it's tough, dude, because I like Warriors are playing so well. So if you put Minnesota and Golden State, but then that means the Rockets are gonna have to fall, and they got 41 wins. So I think West is the more interesting playing situation because like in the West it's like locked in, and I mean the East is locked in. The West is kind of locked in with like the top 10, but the positionings for seeding is gonna be moved around. Like Lakers can move the highest to 2, but then they can drop down to like 5. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? So I think it's gonna be all over the place for sure. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, the Timberwolves kind of are playing with house money in a way. Like last year, obviously, they were one of the top seeds, and people still didn't pick them against Denver. But once they matched up with Dallas, I think everyone had him like shoot in to make the finals, and then that's where it kind of fell apart. Like this year, they're gonna probably be a lower seed. Like if they kept winning every matchup, they wouldn't have home court advantage at all. So I don't think they'd be the favorite in any of them. Even though they are capable of beating teams like this. Even the Thunder, I mean, I'm pretty sure they beat them a couple times this year. They had that one big comeback, so they're an interesting team no matter where they fall. And then, yeah, like with the Warriors too. I mean, I don't know. I do think that they are probably more likely to start losing a couple games here than the Wolves, just because the Wolves have had a lot of guys out. They just got them back. And like you said, I mean, like with Randall, I know it kind of extends like a while back as well, but technically they've gone on an 11 game win streak with Julius Randall over the last 11 games he's played. So I don't know.
Let me ask you a question, all right? So when
Yeah,
you look at the standings, the Clippers. Now,
I knew you were going to ask me about this, but go
yeah,
ahead.
the Clippers to me are just like you just look at the Clippers and you just laugh at them. But James Harden, since he came back from All Star break, has been playing amazing basketball. Kawhi Leonard's back. Ben Simmons was playing good, surprisingly, with the Clippers. Then I don't even know how he got injured again, right? Norman Powell's playing like an All Star. Zubac is playing pretty well. I feel like I know your answer, but like the Clippers will be in the playoffs, I believe, because I think they will beat the. Well, I think they'll be in the playoffs. I'll just say that they might be around 7-8, but are they any threat now? If they get matched up with Thunder, they're no threat. But I feel like they could beat Memphis. Am I tripping? Like I think Memphis. Like I'm not trying to I think Memphis is a second seed, but does anybody respect Memphis?
Yeah, I feel like, I mean, I don't think there's a whole lot of teams. I mean, it's not like years of the past when you would think like, oh, if Kawhi Leonard's healthy, the Clippers could get to the finals. I don't think that's probably on the table as much anymore, especially with teams like OKC and Denver. They haven't really played well against the Lakers, although I think in a playoff series it would be competitive, at least. And then, but teams like Memphis, Houston, I do think they could beat those teams. I feel like honestly, like they have what it takes. If you really look at them, they're like a game and a half back of 6, and I feel like they just lost like a bunch of bad losses. You know what I mean? So if they could string something together here, I mean, we still got like about a month left in the season. Like they could get the 6th seed. It's just like the trajectory of the team, and like Norman Powell's missed so many games like lately. Like I don't know if they're gonna get. I feel like they're gonna be a play-in team, but I would agree they should definitely get in over like Sacramento or Dallas for a playoff spot.
Yeah, I have no faith in that Clippers team to be honest with you. But it's
Yeah.
just interesting. Like they still got James and Kawhi, but we all know their Kawhi's injury concern. But I mean, he's been playing since. He just can't play back to back. But and then the playoffs are never back to back. So we'll
Yeah.
see what happens with that.
Yeah, the hopes for them are kind of dwindling. Uh,
Yeah.
it's a tough scene out there, but we could keep it pushing and kind of talk about one team in particular that technically is in the play-in right now. I know we didn't talk about them a lot, but just the way that their last month and a half has gone probably couldn't have gone any worse. And that is the Dallas Mavericks. I feel like we've given it time to kind of marinate, like after the Luka trade. Obviously, we haven't even seen a single playoff game since this trade's been done. But, they traded Luka and they gave the impression that, oh, well, he was out of shape. We don't trust him long term. Like, he's injury prone. And now you see, like, Kyrie go down for the season. I mean, PJ Washington's missed a ton of games. AD potentially is not coming back this season. And then Derek Lively, Daniel Gafford, Jaden Hardy. And, all these guys are just, like, going out left and right. I think pretty much, like, they said there's only like two guys that are healthy right now that were on that team last year. It's Dante Exum and Dwight Powell, and that's not a great duo there. So, do you think the Mavericks, like, do you think they're officially cursed after this whole Luka trade?
Yeah, I mean, I would have to say yes. I mean, like trading Luca, I still remember that night. It was like close to midnight, and I'm like, did Shams get hacked? I'm like, there's no way. And and then people on the internet, they always look back and they try to see, oh, did Nico ever like Luca? And then they show clips and this and that, da da da. I feel like that like Luca getting traded was like, okay, you're trading our franchise guy, which you'll never find a Luca again for a team like that. Because like even when AD retires and is no longer playing for the Mavericks, it's like they've ruined their future.
Mm-hmm.
But how Nico's looking at it is like, well, I might not even be here. I like he even said that in the press conference, like I might not even be here when that's the case. So he's like, I'm trying to win now. So like, and we've seen Luka get exposed from Boston in the finals. He got exposed pretty badly defensively. I mean, Luka's always going to put up good numbers offensively, even if it's efficient, not efficient. His numbers are going to always look good somehow, some way. That's Luka basketball. But it's like now when you trade Luka and now you're putting so much pressure on Kyrie, things like this are going to happen. Mm-hmm. Kyrie Irving is not Kyrie Irving from Cleveland. And I'm not saying his skill set, but he's a little older. He's aging. You know what I mean? So when you put so much pressure on Kyrie Irving, freak accidents and injuries happen. And this is what happened. He torn his ACL. And the scary thing about it is he torn his ACL near the end of the season. So we don't know when he's going to come back beginning of the year, right? It's not going to probably be beginning of the year. It's going to take more time. Hopefully he does. Because I want to see this Dallas Mavericks team fully healthy. I want to see Kyrie, Clay, AD, Lively. Like, I want to see that PJ Washington. I want to see that lineup where it takes you. Because Nico kept praising defense. And, I mean, he has that lineup out there. But I want to see how great it is. You know, we could see it on paper, but on the court, it's totally different. So, no, they're definitely cursed. And it's like, even before Kyrie Irving got hurt, they were dealing with injuries like with PJ and Lively and Gafford and stuff like that. And we was just like, we're waiting. We're hoping to see them all play together. So it's tough. And then I'm also hearing like Anthony Davis may never return play for Dallas. Like, I don't see that happening. I can see him playing for this team. But then like you hear stuff about Clay. His dad's always speaking for Clay. Like Clay's dad's always speaking for Klay Thompson, which I don't like because like we all know how the media is nowadays. Like he can say something and it'll like, well, now Clay wants to leave Dallas. And it's like Clay's like, he came, I was like, I have faith. Like I think we could still win in this and that. So like Clay's dad just needs to stop talking. Just leave Clay, let Clay be Clay. Like, you know, so yeah, they're definitely cursed, man. You don't just lose all these injuries, all these players to injuries after you trade your best guy. Like I believe in karma. And that's for sure karma. And that's nothing against those guys. I don't want to say that. It's just like Nico did something dumb that the fans would never forgive him. Never forgive him. So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like you were even saying, too, with Clay's dad, like that, I don't know. Like the whole thing where he said, like he was upset or disappointed with him not signing with the Lakers, like that like rubbed me the wrong way. It's like dumb.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, they got to be at this point. Like you even said with AD, too, like how, like, he probably, will still play games in a Mavericks uniform, but there's a possibility that maybe he doesn't. And then it's like when I think like Rasheed Wallace was in the Hawks for one game, like between when he was at Portland and then the Pistons. He played one game with the Hawks and then he went to the Pistons and won a championship. So like something like that could happen. I mean, we've seen rumors of like Kyrie. It's like, oh, like maybe he goes and teams up with Kevin Durant again or something like that. Like that's kind of been in the news. And then I don't know. It's just not a good look, especially when this all happened like so quick. I don't think people would have thought it would have happened that quick. I think the more realistic scenario was that both these teams, and by that I mean the Mavericks and the Lakers, were going to make the playoffs or play in or something and battle against one another or something like that. And then we were going to actually see, who would have the better end. Because I'm not going to lie, when the trade was first made, it didn't make sense at all. But I did think, at least for this season, like if they were healthy, I thought the Mavericks probably still had a better team. And now they definitely don't. I mean, the Lakers have, exceeded probably expectations without a real true big. I know Jackson Hayes has been good and Hachimura's played good, but they don't really have a guy to compete with like a Jokic or, the bigs like that the Thunder have or something like that. And then, Dallas is just like, everything fell apart. Like now they're, and I'll give them this, they still do compete. It's very similar to like that one year with that one Clippers year when they had like Terrence Mann and Amir Coffey and like Kawhi missed the whole year and Paul George missed almost the whole year. And they still were above 500. That's what I'll say about them, but it's just not enough. Like they're not gonna, like, they can maybe be better than the Suns just because the Suns are terrible, but they aren't gonna do anything, and I don't really see them even getting through the play-in.
Yeah, and another thing I didn't bring up is Kyrie Irving's going to be a free agent this offseason.
Mm-hmm.
And so I expect the front office to pay Kyrie Irving. Now, if they don't, then there's like, what was the point of you trading Luka? Like, it's just going to be even worse if you just don't pay him. And I get it, he's coming off ACL, but you just got to trust the process that he comes back and is the same Kyrie Irving. So that's another thing that we have to look at for sure. But another thing, too, is like, it's funny because like Anthony Davis, his first game, his only game as a Dallas Maverick, he dominated. I mean, he had 26 points, 16 rebounds, and 7 assists. He made all his he's 100% from the 3-point line and like shooting 60% from the field. Like it was a good look. Like that was like, okay, like if you're a Dallas Mavericks fan, you're still upset that Luka's traded, but you're a little bit more excited after watching that performance from Anthony Davis, and then bam. And he dealt with this injury in LA. Like this injury is nothing new. Like he was out for a while in LA, he came back and then injured again. So I think it's smart for just Anthony Davis to not come back, wait for next season, get everybody healthy. And I honestly, I know they're trying to win games, but I would start resting Clay too. Clay's getting up there. You want all your players healthy and ready for next year. That's what you're gearing up for next year. That's it. Don't care about the season no more.
Yeah. And it's, just the whole thing with that. Like, first of all, it makes no sense that they say like, oh, well, we don't trust Luka's health and stuff, and then like, oh, we're gonna trade him when you're trading for a guy who's always been like suspicious when it comes to that, anyways. So that's the confusing part there. And then also it's like there's been a lot of players. I mean, like even with myself, I know like as a D Rose fan, it's like you tear your ACL like if you're Kyrie and like later in the year, like March, April time, like that whole next season, like for D Rose, he didn't play. There's other times where like Klay Thompson himself, like towards ACL, went a whole season, did not play. So probably even if he does come back later, like they might be too late. You know what I mean? So I don't know. It's very like kind of like what you're seeing with the Pelicans this year. And I know Zion did come back, but like theoretically it didn't matter if he came back. The Pelicans were still not going to make the playoffs, So
yeah, agreed.
But yeah, if you want, we can keep it pushing here, I guess. Get on to our, one bold NBA offseason prediction. I feel like I've made a couple bold predictions throughout the year, but I did decide to pick one that I have not really said yet. But I'll let you go first. With when it comes to one bold prediction for this summer, what comes to mind?
So, question, right? So, can this be this could be a superstar traded? This can be a take from a team that I think is a takeover. Okay.
Yep. Okay. Same. Any of that.
Mind you, Garrett, I remember we had this conversation when we was with the group stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It was a couple years ago, and I meant to say this to y'all. Remember when I said the Minnesota Timberwolves are going to be the number one seed a few years ago? Well, I think 2 years ago,
I
two
think so.
seasons ago,
Yeah.
and they were. And I never got to talk to you about that stuff, but I found it funny, random. But anyways, so okay, I got a few things. I got a few things. Well, I'll say one thing I like. So first thing I'll say is LaMelo Ball will be traded this offseason. I don't personally think the Charlotte Hornets want to make him their franchise guy for a couple of reasons. I think they want to make Brandon Miller their franchise guy. LaMelo Ball, one, cannot stay healthy. He just can't. His ankles are crucified. He just can't. So you can't rely on a franchise player that can't stay healthy. People tend to forget when they had a chance to get in the playoffs, they were in the play-in. He played awful. Those two play-in games, he was terrible, terrible. Right? His shot selection is not the greatest. Right? Like you just like all three of those things is IQ. Like I can't make you my franchise guy at all. Right? I think he has a lot of talent. He can give you 27 points, but then he'll shoot 5 for 21. Like that's not it's not going to get the job done.
Mm.
So I expect Charlotte to trade LaMelo Ball this offseason to the Orlando Magic.
Ooh. Okay. I could see that. That is a team that desperately needs offense. So especially at a guy who's for the most part of the year has been averaging about like 29, 30 points a game. So I like that. I think that's decent. It might make life easier for Franz and Paulo. My see the bold prediction I have here. It's a little bit more extreme. Well, it's a more extreme team. It's not probably not an extreme player movement. Um, but it involves the Celtics, and I think that of their like core seven players, so like you think like Tatum, Brown, uh, Derek White, Holiday, Porzingis, Horford, and probably Peyton Pritchard. Um, I think they're going to lose at least two this summer. Um, I think an obvious one is Al Horford is going to be gone. He might retire honestly because he's not on contract. But I think even one of Porzingis or Drew Holiday is going to be gone. And I say that just because like they're like more than 30 million like guaranteed next year than what they have on contract this year, which is really crazy to think about. And so I feel like that's just going to put them so much over. They're going to have to make a move, especially if they don't win the championship this year, which I think they definitely still have a chance. But I'm just watching like the Cavs and OKC, and they've both played really well with them, and they seem to be on an upward trajectory. Boston seems to be downward. It's just really hard to repeat. I feel like if they don't repeat, they're going to have to make a move like that. And that's why I kind of think like a Porzingis or Drew Holiday. Obviously, they're not going to trade Tatum or Brown. And I would think probably not Derek White. I think the most realistic one is Drew Holiday just because he has missed a lot of time. He is older. So maybe it just makes more sense. But I feel like it might be a little bit of a shakeup because I don't think people are ready for that.
No, actually, I agree. I mean, each year it's gonna get worse and worse for them, right? Like
Mm,
the Celtics got lucky to have this team because I believe they formed this team before the CBA hit. I could be totally wrong, but I think they did. So they got lucky. They got a championship out of it. Good stuff. I think this is their last year, their last chance to win a championship too. Um, and this is not me hating on the Celtics because Celtics fans are like, "Oh, y'all hating." It's not hating. It's just facts, right? With the new CBA, CJ McCollum changed the whole NBA. Simple as that. Like he changed it with this new rule and stuff. And so I expect one of those players to be gone. You have to keep Derek White. You have to keep your big two intact in Brown and Tatum. Um, and then also like Al Horford's going to be a big loss. Straight
yeah.
up. I think he retires too, but he's going to be a major loss. Like the impact plays that he does defensively, like you're not going to be like, oh, he's a great defender, but he does key things like he'll get a deflection or you have a one-on-one stop against a top tier ISO player. Like he does those little things. He hits those big threes. He plays his role, and he's always out there. Like it's unlike Porzingis, like he's always going to be out there for you, no matter if he's 40 or whatever. So that's going to be a big loss. I don't know how you replace him because Kata's trash. Like I don't care what anybody. That dude Kata's terrible. And they don't really have a big outside of that. I mean, they got Luke Cornett, but Luke Cornett plays a different style of basketball compared to Al Horford. Al Horford stretches the floor. Luke Cornett doesn't do that type of stuff. So I think Celtics will still be a top seed next year, but they're going to be totally different. And I don't know who they're going to add from the minimum, like add minimum vet players because like they had Torrey Craig. Like those are the type of players they're going to have to go after. Torrey Craig's and stuff like that. And you know Torrey Craig because he was just on Chicago.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think I agree to a point too, man. I think they're losing somebody.
And even with Cornette, like I feel like there's always this thing that happens with like championship bigs, especially like we saw it with Timofey Mozgov and stuff. Maybe not quite as extreme, but I'm pretty sure he's a free agent this year, and so there's going to be a team that just throws him more money than he's worth. And he might just take it. He's like, you know what, I got a championship. I'm never going to be like a Hall of Famer, obviously, or even an All Star. So like, I might as well take the money. So they might even lose him too. But just from like their key players, I do think they'll be gone. But one other thing I will say about your LaMelo Orlando take, and then we can move on to the next topic here, is if it's not going to be LaMelo that gets moved to the Magic, I think there's a good chance like Anthony Simons could be moved to the Orlando Magic.
So Yusuf Nurkic kind of started this thing, and I think Simons is good. Don't get me wrong. I just feel like I don't think he's the missing piece, and I could be totally wrong. I think when you look at this Orlando Magic team, they need a point guard desperately to run this offense. Like, you could say, I think I look at more Simons as that scoring guard, like, and obviously that can help them out too because they need that too. But when I see LaMelo, I see the playmaking ability. I can even see a Trae Young. Like Trae Young will make Wendell Carter Jr.'s life 10 times easier. Paulo Banchero's life 10 times easier, right? Because he's such a good playmaker. He makes it easier for the bigs and stuff like that. For Simons, I don't view him as that guy, but I feel like Simons is more realistic than getting a LaMelo or Trae because I don't know what Portland's doing now. I just don't understand the direction at all. So I wouldn't be surprised if they keep Simons. But if they don't, Simons to Orlando would be fun. I mean, then you have Simons, Suggs, Franz, Paulo, Carter, which like I had a lot of expectations for the Magic this year. And obviously, they're the AFC 30 and 36. I blame injuries. I don't care. I just blame all the injuries.
Yeah.
Maybe there's more to it, of course, because their players are back. But I think they need a guard needs to help out Franz and Paulo play together because it gets a little sticky out there sometimes.
Yeah. I think the middle of the season definitely hurt the Magic just with all the injuries. I feel like next year they'll be back on track. It was just a weird sequence of events, but I do think either way it could help them. I mean, they definitely do need a true like kind of point guard too, so that's why LaMelo would benefit them. But also like they are at the same time too a bad 3-point shooting team, and even though LaMelo will help them there too, I just think like Simons takes like so many threes and he still shoots at an efficient level there. So either way, I do think there is a benefit there. I think LaMelo is probably their plan A just because he's the better player, and if not, then maybe a Simons is like a plan B or plan C or something like that. So
I'll say one thing about Simons too. We can change it, but Simons he's good to me. I think he's good, but like there's just nights where he's just weird. Like I'm looking at his stats right now. This dude put up 32, 34, and then he puts up 6. Like that. Those are the type of players that just frustrate me. Like how are you putting up 30? And it's not like he put up, and I mean, you could keep going down, but he had 30, 34, 27, 28, 32, 34, and then he puts up 6. Like, I understand people have bad nights, but he's one of those players to me that's just inconsistent. You know what I mean? Like, it's an inconsistent person, but I think he's still good. He definitely brings more shooting to this team because KCP forgot how to shoot the ball, and that was one of their main shooters that they wanted to bring to space the floor, and he's non-existent. Like, that's a robbery right there. Complete robbery.
Yeah, that's another player who has not been the same since the championship, really. Even his last year at Denver. That's why I never said, like, when Denver lost him, it was a big loss. It's just that they didn't fill the void, really, with someone who could do what he did, So, but obviously now Christian Brown stepped up. But, yeah, if you want, though, we can get into these last couple topics and, go on to the Honor of the Week. So this one's going to be kind of fun. It's going to be a random former player that I'm going to give you. You're going to have 1 minute to talk about him for good or for bad. I feel like I know which direction you're going to go, though, on this one. And that's a big reason why I picked it, because I felt like it'd be funny. But are you ready?
Yeah.
All right, so you'll have 1 minute. As soon as I say the name, you can talk about him. And if you go over the minute, it's fine. But your player is Anthony Bennett.
Anthony Bennett. Wow. Anthony Bennett has to be one of the Is there anything good to say about this dude? I mean, he's like one of the worst number one picks in like the world. He's the worst of the worst. But when you look deep into it, right? He played for Cavaliers, Timberwolves, Raptors, and Nets. Now, the most games he played in his career was obviously with the Timberwolves with 57 games played. These dudes' numbers are worse than like the Celtics' worst player in their team. And like, I think Kata has better numbers than Anthony Bennett. Just think about that. Kata. I just was saying how bad Kata was for the Celtics. He probably has better than numbers than Anthony Bennett. Imagine going out there and averaging 1.5 points a game, shooting 29% for like that has to be like the. I don't even know how the hell is this dude the number like he had the number one pick. Like that was just terrible. Cavaliers made a terrible decision, but luckily they got lucky because now they're at the top of the Eastern Conference. But yeah, he's awful.
And they kind of got lucky, I would say too, like with when they traded him as well. Like, okay, like rookies have bad years, like maybe a bad first year. So like when they moved him and Wiggins and stuff, and they got Kevin Love back, like the Timberwolves might have thought like, okay, we don't know if he really has that potential, but he could still be a decent player. No, he didn't have that in him at all. So they kind of just got finessed from that category. Yeah, Anthony Bennett was not very great. It's really just not a lot to say about him. The one thing I will say though, just in general, is, of this modern era, he has to be probably the biggest draft bust, just because who else has gone number one and like failed to meet expectations. Like, yeah, there's been like a Greg Oden, but he had injuries and stuff. And I even saw people saying this year, like about Zachary Reisije, and they're like, oh, he's the worst number one pick. Like, but he's substantially better than Bennett. He didn't have like his first, I think like Bennett had like 8 or 9 games before he even scored a basket, like in the NBA, that's like so demoralizing. It's like we're waiting, if you're the Cavs, and yeah.
No, and people that say Zachary's the worst number one pick don't know basketball, because first of all, he actually been playing 10 times better near the end of the season.
Mm.
And he's fighting to get into that. Like he could possibly still win the Rookie of the Year. Like I don't really know. You could go Castle, but it's just like stop it. You don't watch basketball.
Yeah.
So
I'm not 100% sure if he'll win the award, but I do think he has done enough to be first team all rookie at this point. Like he's played really well to end the year, that he should at least be top 5.
And he's only going to get better. He has the size and length. When you have the size and length for those type of guys, like Kevin Durant and Paulos, Luka, like you'll last long in this league. Just work on that jumper, you'll be fine.
Yeah, that's also part of the reason though I did want to pick Anthony Bennett, is just because I feel like with the current like first pick rookie, like he's kind of been treated badly like most of the year. But I don't know. I mean, I'm a Zachary Reisije believer. I think he'll be pretty decent. But yeah, Anthony Bennett is just like the ultimate like staple of like, oh, if we're better than him, like it can't get any worse than him, really.
Yeah, Zachary's 19 years old too. Like,
yeah,
let's give him time for sure.
I will say one thing I will say about Anthony Bennett is he did have the build to be good. Like he was kind of built like a LeBron, Zion type of, so just never came to be. But yeah, if you want, we can keep it pushing here and get on to the mini game. So obviously, to stick with like some D Rose theme, I call it the Rose engagement mini game. So it's kind of based actually though on tweets that have been put out throughout the year. Now I have 5 major, 5 major like news outlets between Legion Hoops, Shams, Hoop Central, NBA Central, and Bleacher Report. Sadly, we don't have NBA Central on this one. And then I also have one at the end. It's going to be like a primary or a current team. So if they're currently playing, it's going to be their current team. And if it's a primary team for the people that have been retired. So I got 5 players here, and I've counted up how many times they've been posted about from today up until 1 year ago today. And so the 5 players for each one are Derrick Rose, my guy, Russell Westbrook, your guy, and then I also put in here John Morant, Chris Paul, and Allen Iverson. So how the point works is, as long as you don't get the complete opposite, like ranking-wise, I'm going to have you rank everyone 1 through 5 on who has the most, who has the least. As long as you're not completely opposite, you're going to get 1 point for that. For every player you get in the correct position, you'll get an additional 2 points. And if you get it perfect, you'll get an additional 10. So we'll see how well you can do here. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. So starting off with Legion Hoops, again, I will say the players are D. Rose, Westbrook, Ja Morant, Chris Paul, and Allen Iverson. Rank them 1 to 5 on who you think has the most posts about him over the past year and to the least.
All right, so I'm gonna go 5 AI. So that's the worst.
Okay.
And then I'm going Russell Westbrook number 1. I'm going CP3 3. No, I'm going Who's the other player? I'm sorry.
Derrick Rose, Chris Paul, and Ja Morant.
Ja Morant. I'm going Ja Morant second. Actually, I'm going Ja Morant first. Sorry, Russ second. Chris Paul 3 and Derrick Rose 4.
Okay, so you're gonna roll with Ja, Russ, CP3, D Rose, AI.
Yeah.
All right. So I will tell you that you earned 5 points on the, or actually, yeah, 5 points on this one. You got 2 of them in the correct spot. You didn't have it completely opposite order. First was your boy Russell Westbrook. 61 of them he had, by the way.
It's funny because like I was going Russ, but I felt like it was more of a trick. Like because you know how Ja during the year was going through all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I was gonna go Russ, but I played with my mind. I knew it was Russ, but I was like, you know what? Let me go.
Yeah, he had 61. Actually, second was Chris Paul, 32. Third was Ja with 30, and you got the other 2 right. D Rose has 16. Allen Iverson has 12.
Dude, if I knew it too. I knew it. I know my boy Russ has always talked about.
Well, we will see because you know, the next one we got here. Now this one's gonna be a little bit of a different idea of it because Shams is more so like the breaking news guy, not so much like the fun little posts. So for Shams right here, ranked 1 through 5, the same players. So again, it's D Rose, Westbrook, Chris Paul, Ja Morant, Allen Iverson. Who's 1 to 5?
Ooh, that one's interesting. Okay. Well, I have never seen Shams ever tweet about Allen Iverson, so I'm gonna put him at 5.
Okay.
And I'm gonna put him at 5. Shams probably tweeted about Derrick Rose getting traded, but he hasn't got traded in a while. He retired, his retirement. I'm gonna have to go back to D Rose at 4. I'm gonna have to put him back at 4.
Okay.
And then okay, so now it's Ja, CP3, and Russ.
Yes.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm actually gonna put Russ back at 1 because he gets traded every 5 seasons. Not every, but he gets traded every single season. It feels like. And then we're gonna go with Ja and CP.
Okay. So you're going with Russ, Ja, CP3, D Rose, Allen Iverson?
Yeah, we're going to try that. Yeah.
Okay. So you did not get the perfect order. You didn't have them opposite order either. You got 2 of the 5 correct. Technically, there was a tie for 3rd, but everyone you had 3rd, 4th, and 5th, if you at least had them 3rd or lower, I counted that as points. So tied for 3rd was you got Allen Iverson like down there, Chris Paul down there, and Ja down there too. 2nd was Russell Westbrook, and 1st was Derrick Rose on this one.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, Shams actually, I mean, he's from Chicago, so he definitely posted a lot of stuff about him after his like retirement and stuff. So, but yeah, it really not a whole lot of posts from him in general from this. Like Rose had 6, Westbrook had 4, and then everyone else is just below that too. So
yeah, okay.
So
that one was okay.
It was a very tricky one because he's not like Shams isn't the same as those other pages. But you still got 5 points for that, so you're sitting at 10 right now. We will see if your thoughts change or stay the same on a Hoop Central.
Okay.
What are you thinking there?
First of all, Hoop Central. like I don't. It's funny because I don't. This page right here, I use NBA Central, so I don't really be looking at Hoop Central like that. But what I will say is, okay, Ja Morant has to be number one. I'm gonna go Ja Morant number one. I'm gonna go AI 5, D Rose 4, um, and then no. I'm gonna go CP3 again.
Okay.
And then I'm gonna go. It's like Russ and Ja, but I feel like there's more highlights or like more posts from Ja. I'm gonna go Russ. You know what? I lied. I'm gonna change this up real quick because I don't even see like outside of negative posts. Like he posts his clips and like stats and stuff like that. So I'm just gonna try this. I could be totally wrong, but I'm gonna go Ja 1, CP2, Russ 3.
Okay. So you're gonna go with a Ja, CP3, Russ, D Rose, AI.
Yeah.
Okay. So you did not get the full thing in order. You're, I would say you were very close though to getting it. So first was indeed Ja. You had that right. Second was Russ. Third was CP3. You had those
Oh
flipped.
my
And then it was D
god.
Rose AI.
Damn.
Yeah, Ja actually at 65. Westbrook 43, Chris Paul 21, and then D Rose 15, Allen Iverson 5.
I'm just playing with myself right now, dude. Like I'm just not overthinking Russ at this point. I don't know why. Don't know why. Like I know Russ gets so much hate on these pages too.
Mm-hmm. Well, that is part of it too. Like that's the,
Yeah.
but okay. So we got three more left. We'll see. You did get still 7 points on that one, which was your highest one. So
Yeah.
fourth one. This one's gonna be a really interesting one. You'll see. NBA Central
NBA Central. Okay. Yep.
or the Dunk Central, I guess. Like
Okay. Okay. First of all, NBA Central. Like I said, I use this one a lot for stuff. So what I will go with the same order with the 4 and 5.
so D Rose 4, Allen Iverson
Yeah.
5.
Correct.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with the same order with that, and then I'm gonna go. I'm going CP3 3,
Okay.
and then I'm gonna go Russ 1, and then Ja 2.
Okay. So you're going Russ, Ja, CP3, D Rose,
Yep.
AI.
Yep.
Okay. So unfortunately, you didn't get any in the correct spot on this one.
Really?
Now you didn't have it opposite order, so you still got 1 point there. It's gonna be a little shocking. First was Allen Iverson on this one.
Really? Okay.
38. A lot of them came like prior to May though of last year. There's just a lot. Just below him was Westbrook. Third was actually Derrick Rose. Fourth was Ja Morant. Fifth was Chris Paul.
Okay. There had to be a trick coming, and I'm like, okay, this trick was here.
Yeah, that was a tricky one. That's why I was trying to find like a player that would be in here like Allen Iverson. Like you wouldn't think it because he retired so long
Yeah.
ago, but yeah, he was first on that category though. So
Okay. Interesting. Okay.
okay, so we got two more though. We'll move on to Bleacher Report for this next one.
Okay. So Bleacher Report. Okay. Fun fact: do you listen to Bleacher Report or like click on the notifications for Bleacher Report?
Not really. I know they posted my post one. They reposted like a tweet of mine once. That's about all.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, because Bleacher Report to me is just. But, anyways, Bleacher Report, I would go because Bleacher. I feel like it's recent, so I'm gonna go back to AI at 5. I'm gonna go to D Rose at 4. I'm actually gonna go Ja 1, CP2, Russ 3.
Okay. So we got Ja, CP3, Russ, D Rose, AI.
Yep.
Okay. So you got 7 points for this one. You had 3 of the 5 in the correct order. You had 2 out of order. First was Ja by far. He had 31. Second was Derrick Rose. He had a lot of posts after his retirement for that. Third was Westbrook. You had that in the right spot. And then fourth was technically a tie between Allen Iverson and Chris Paul, but you had Allen Iverson down there, so I gave you points for Allen Iverson. So,
Gotcha.
yeah. So you still got 7 points on that one.
All right.
So I think that right now it brings your total to, let's see, 15. So right now you got 25 points. Pretty decent. We'll see how you can do here on this last one, though. So the way this works for the last one, though, is for the current players. I mean, it wouldn't be fair to have the current players and it's like every post and stuff. So because they post every single highlight they do. So yeah. I only counted the posts that are like them in shoot around, like videos, or it's like just a regular post like about them or something like that, or a stat. So any like specific like, oh, every game like there's 12 highlights of a player, I didn't count those, just to give you an idea. So we will see what your thoughts are here. So for the primary and current team, so for Derrick Rose, that would be the Chicago Bulls. For Russell Westbrook, right now, that would be the Nuggets. For Chris Paul, that would be the Spurs right now. Ja Morant, the Grizzlies. Allen Iverson, the Sixers.
All right. So, and this is just warming up and stuff, right?
It's like their warm-ups. It could be like a stat posted about them or something like that. Like,
all right,
or just a tweet honoring them or something.
We're going back Russ 1. I'm going Russ 1.
Okay. Russ number 1.
We're going Russ 1. We're going Ja 2.
Okay.
We're going Rose 3.
D Rose, okay.
We're going CP4 AI 5.
Okay. So you got Russ, Ja, Rose, CP3, AI.
Yep.
Okay. So at 5th was indeed Allen Iverson. You got that correct. He had 3. 4th was Chris Paul. You got that correct. He had 6. 3rd was Ja. Only 9. Might be shocking. Yeah, I thought it was going to be a lot more than that. 2nd is Russ. 35. A lot more. And first was D Rose with 41.
D Rose.
Yeah.
This whole time I know I need to put D Rose higher too, and I'm just like, we put D Rose a little bit higher. I didn't know he was gonna be 1 though.
Well, there was another reason it was high too. Is because not only the retirement, but also like they already had like a D Rose night like about 2 months ago. So like they went crazy posting stuff like about him there too. Yeah. So,
gotcha.
So overall, you still got. I believe you got 5 points on that one. So I think you ended with 30 points. It's pretty solid. How do you feel about that?
No, it's actually fun, man. I had fun doing it. I think it was cool.
Yes, sir. I wanted to pick something unique because I know you're always, breaking the news in the NBA. I'm like, I feel like this is right up your alley. And if it makes you feel any better, though, your boy Russell Westbrook had the best overall rank out of all 5 of them. D Rose was 2nd. Ja was 3rd. And then Chris Paul and then Allen Iverson.
I think the Russ hates is so forced. Like, I don't know. Maybe I'm just being biased, but I think it's just forced. Like, I don't know. I can go on a rant on this for hours and hours. I think it's just forced, man. Like, we all know Russ is not that great. We all know that. Like, he could be I don't like whatever. But hey, man, the Russ hate. Keep giving him what he been hooping. That's all I know.
Yeah, I mean, and if honestly, like it generates, I guess, engagement. I guess that's what they want to do,
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, all these guys, in my opinion, are Hall of Famers. I feel like Josh still has a little bit to go, but I think he will probably get there. But yeah, I mean, overall, I think it was pretty good. And glad we could collab once again. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. I don't know if you have anything you want to add before we wrap it up.
Yeah, man. Thanks for letting me, hop on the show again. And That was fun, man. But keep liking, keep sharing, keep subscribing.
Yes, sir. We'll have to collab again sometime soon. And but yeah, appreciate it once again. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Thank you guys for watching, and we're out. Peace.